Good morning, friends. Good morning to this Thursday of Holy Week as we continue on the journey with Jesus through his suffering. Today's reading comes from John chapter 19, verses 1 to 7. Then Pilate took Jesus and had him flogged, and the soldiers wove a crown of thorns and put it on his head. And they dressed him in a purple robe. They kept coming up to him saying, "Hail, King of the Jews," and striking him on the face. Pilate went out again and said to them, "Look, I am bringing him out to you, to let you know that I find no case against him." So Jesus came out wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe. Pilate said to them, "Here is the man." When the chief priests and the police saw him, they shouted, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" Pilate said to them, "Take him yourselves and crucify him. I find no case against him." The Jews answered him, "We have a law, and according to that law he ought to die, because he has claimed to be the Son of God." Here ends our reading for today. Yesterday we left off as Peter denies his discipleship, not once, but 3 times. Then Jesus was brought before Pilate, questioned, and disowned by the religious leaders. Our reading today starts out, "Then Pilate took Jesus and had him flogged." While in this gospel, Pilate still appears to be looking for a way out. In ancient times, one was only flogged after they had been sentenced to death. It was a legal preliminary to every Roman execution. Flogging was brutal. The usual instrument was a short whip in which small iron balls or sharp pieces of bone were tied at intervals. The man was stripped of his clothing, hands tied to a post, and the back, buttocks, and legs were whipped repeatedly with this instrument of torture. When the gospel says that Pilate had him flogged, it's a coded way of saying he's already condemned him to death. Pilate is following the rules. The Jews, too, who proclaim the law that states he ought to die because he claimed to be the Son of God, they too are following what they understand as the proper code of behavior. Yet really, it's cruelty and hatred cloaked in fear that drives their actions to follow the law. Jesus came living a different law, a law of love. Jesus' teaching didn't make room for flogging and fear. His law spoke of loving God with all our heart, mind, soul, and spirit, and loving our neighbors as ourselves. What law governs your life? Jesus always offers us life in all of its fullness. He welcomes us to move from a place of fear and scarcity to a place of abundance. Jesus is willing to endure suffering and death, to stay true to his calling, to live a life fully immersed in God's love. My friends, I pray that today we will choose the law of love rooted in Christ. May it be so.